I've been warning about this for months now, I've got to say, and it takes everything in me not to say I told you so, because it's a painful result for Labour in Rochdale. But for months and months, I have been hearing on the ground in polls that the Muslim community is exasperated, feels betrayed by the Labour Party. And now we have a by-election result where 30% of the constituents are Muslim that absolutely proves that fact. The reality is there is a huge amount of anger, of hurt, of feeling of betrayal from Muslim communities. And it fundamentally comes down to this. And I was listening as in your lead up talking about what more can Labour do. The reality is on the ground, many Muslims feel like Muslim lives are not valued equal to other lives. That is what it comes down to. They look at Palestinian children being blown up and see their own children. And then they see the responses from politicians here and think, well, if they don't value that life, they don't value mine. And so this comes down to a fundamental issue. Do we send a signal to 4 million people in this country who are Britons as much as anyone else in this country that their lives, their children's lives, their families' lives are as valuable as our own? If we do, we can rebuild trust. If we do, we can begin to extend our hand. If not, that puts us in a serious crisis point.
And how exactly would they do that? Aside from calling for an immediate ceasefire, which they have now done, what further steps could they take to reassure Muslim people that they are valued as citizens and as potential Labour voters?
Yeah, I mean, again, you referenced this. I am glad to see that the Labour Party is now calling for an immediate ceasefire. We have been calling for it for months. Unfortunately, it came after the death of 30,000 people, over half of whom are children. And so that is a difficult thing to ignore. But even policy situations like Palestine, for example, the recognition of the Palestinian state, unfortunately, we've seen a rollback on that where it's not a unilateral recognition as part of a two-state solution, but only as part of negotiations moving forward. It's about calling war crimes war crimes. We've heard Labour Party politicians say it's not up to politicians to talk about and declare something a war crime. Well, I heard the leader of the Labour Party on Sky News about Russia and Ukraine calling Russia a war crime. So why is there one rule when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, and another rule when it comes to Palestinians and principally Muslims?